over that and brushing that down. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna give me a really seamless blend that will mimic exactly what my shadow roots and my root stretches look like on my clients. And don't be afraid. If there's people out here that don't do hair extensions, guess what? You're a colorist. These things translate into doing shadow roots, root taps, balayages, all of the things that you're doing in the salon lived in color. These techniques and formulas translate right into that. I'm a colorist first, and I realize because my brain thinks in color, it actually makes me an amazing extension artist. So if any of you are sitting in the audience today, don't be afraid to start to dip your toe into the extension world, because it was really made for us colorists. I really think the best extension artists are really, really good colorists. So let's try another technique that I love to use. And I'm kind of a complicated colorist sometimes. I can't just choose one color. I know you guys are giggling because I think we're similar, right? So sometimes I'm like, well, that root shadow is really great, but how could I make it better? A middle color. So that's where this level 7, 6, and 7, I always like to drop it down about a half of a notch. So my target shade is a 7 in this middle part. My target shade for this was a 5, so I added a little bit of 4. With weft extensions, sometimes I feel like you just need to drop it down a notch. So I'm gonna be doing my formula for this middle color is 6NB, 7NW. And I just want to pause here and explain why I chose what I chose. And does anybody do gray blending with Shades EQ? Yes? If you don't, I know you do. If you don't, please go and try. It has changed my whole life behind the chair. You can cover gray hair. You get that nice, beautiful, soft coverage. And I think it's very popular right now. And I think it's what our clients are wanting, especially post-COVID. So I choose 6NB because it covers gray hair. Guess what it's also gonna look really beautiful on? This white weft, right? Does that make sense? So let's go ahead. I'm gonna do the same step where I do a shadow root with the 4M, 5N. I'm gonna make it a little shorter this time because I just want it to be right at the seam. And the cool thing about hand-tied wefts is it picks up the pigment. So because it's such a delicate, the hair is actually folded over the seam and sewn that way. So that's why it picks it up. It's not, the thread is in the center, the hair is on the outside, so it will actually pick up the pigment. So there's my small root tap. Now I'm gonna go with my second color. And this is where I can get creative, right? This is where I'm an artist and I get to make choices for what I would like to do. And I'm just gonna be blending this down. I also like to blend up just a little bit. I'm gonna take it down a little bit further. I want this to look like a really, really subtle balayage. And then of course, dry brush feather down. And actually when I'm doing this in the salon, it almost feels like a meditative experience. I get really in the zone. Because I'm not working on a client's head, I like to do this like either after hours or come into the salon like an hour early. And it's like almost like I'm knitting or a meditative experience. I lay out all my wefts on the color bar. I put down some foils, and it's my own little experiment. And then I'm gonna, of course, take my clear, going beneath again. If I wanted to really make that line very, very subtle, let's go into that area where I have that level 7, target level 7 in here. And I'm just gonna brush in there. Is that an aha moment for you guys, using clear this way, right? It's such a wonderful, wonderful tool. I have one more thing I would like to show you all. I wanna show you this on those tape-in extensions, that really amazing tool where it ends up looking like a lace front wig. So let me just tuck away my weft. So I have some of those ultimates here. And I want you to be able to see how this color just absorbs right in right at the top of this. So same formula, I'm not changing anything up. One of my favorite ways, if I'm gonna be custom coloring, I think there's two top reasons that I'm gonna be custom coloring extensions. Shadow roots, root stretches, because I'm customizing after I've highlighted somebody and adding some depth back in with a root shadow. I want that to be tone on tone, exactly what I did. I'm gonna be doing that same thing. The second thing, redheads. Redheads are having a moment. Everybody wants a little bit of red in their hair. I feel like warmth is coming back, even though it's not even fall. That always happens every fall as a colorist. But redheads are really a fun way to customize extensions, and I very rarely find an extension color in all the different brands out there that matches the exact red that I'm doing, because our redheads are so exactly what they want, right? Are you more of a copper? Are you more of a red? So as you can see on there, you see how that totally picks up right at the root? It almost picks up a little bit darker right up there because it's really dense. That's how I like that to sit. Who in here, anybody do hair extensions? Yeah, awesome, that's amazing. You know, the extension world really changed my life. I went from doing hair in the salon, and I actually was recruited by an extension company to just test out some things. And my boss, at the time I was working in a salon, I was a colorist and a hair cutter. I was a dual specialist. And all of a sudden, he looked at my numbers and he asked me why I had tripled my numbers in that quarter. And I kind of just didn't even tell him I was offering hair extensions. I just knew I wanted to ask for forgiveness on permission. I feel like that was a better way with my old boss. And then all of a sudden he realized it opened up the door. I made a pivot in my career that sent me in a totally different direction. So whether it's hair extensions or trying other things, don't be afraid to pivot and try something new. I have a theory that every hairstylist will reinvent themselves no less than 3 times in their career. There are pivots that should be made, and it's kind of one of those things where you get a feeling, when you get to fearful, when something feels scary, run at it. Because I was scared to do this, I was like, I don't know, I'm gonna get in trouble, this doesn't work. Usually when you feel the fear, I have another saying that I love, sorry it's my TED Talk right now, but feel the fear and do it anyways. So when you start to feel that little bit of fear, you know what that means is on the other end? Growth. So challenge yourself. It doesn't have to be with hair extensions. Whatever that means to you today, if that just sent something, I want to inspire you to go try something new. That's what these hair shows are all about, right? It's coming together and seeing people that we know and that we maybe don't know, and getting little nuggets of inspiration. Again, hitting with my clear. And so you can kind of see, this will process a little bit, hopefully by the end, in the next couple of minutes. But you can see how it's going from one color to the next. Right? This is also a technique that I use all the time on my non-hair extension clients. What do you guys think? Any questions out there? Anybody want to pick my brain about Shades EQ or hair extensions at all? Yep.